So the area we're looking at in this video is called the Island, or it was called that during the war, where a lot of the battles happened in Market Garden. Nijmegen and south of here is where the airborne landings first occurred. And then later, in October, Easy Company had a major battle here at Crossroads at Point A. And then Arnhem is where the bridge too far was located, where the British airborne fought over control of that. This is the bridge at Nijmegen, one of the first key bridges the Allies needed to take to get onto the island. The Germans had this wired to be blown up, but a local member of the resistance thwarted their plans, but was captured and actually executed by the Germans for that. So the Battle of the Crossroads, if you're familiar with the Band of Brothers film, took place here. Easy Company was in this area right here where there was a farm, and then the actual battle at this crossroads here was actually 3 points now, but it was 4 points then. And then north of there is where the Germans were crossing at a ferry point. So the battle itself happened right here in this area, and actually it's in the middle of a bunch of farms and towns and not really as isolated as the film suggests. So here is where Easy Company first crossed and took on the Germans. That clump of trees to the top left is where their base was at, and then Winters led about 50 men into that field, charged across, took on the Germans right around here at this point. The north part of the picture there where that smokestack is at is the factory where the ferry crossing was at, and the battle itself happened right here in that field and across this dike, which is a lot lower now than it was back then. It was higher then, but the battle itself happened right here. Easy Company charged across this field and took on a much larger strength of Germans and pushed them back. So here is the bridge too far at Arnhem. If you're familiar with that story, the British airborne troops, this was the northernmost bridge they had to take and hold, and it proved to be a really tough battle, and they weren't able to hold it in the face of some pretty stiff German resistance and not a lot of support for the British. So unfortunately, it was an unsuccessful battle and operation. But there's a nice memorial today at the location of the bridge at Arnhem. This is the National Liberation Museum south of Nijmegen. Operated by the locals there. They do an excellent job of remembering all the British and American and Polish troops that fought in Operation Market Garden. Really tough battle. This is actually a mini German submarine that was in action in the area and found later. So a lot of very nice museum artifacts here, but they do an excellent job of memorializing the troops. The 82nd Airborne actually was the primary drop zone right on top of where the museum is located today. This chapel, the ceiling of it is kind of reminiscent of a parachute canopy. And all around are the names of the deceased and memorials to those that fell to liberate the country of Holland. The people here are very appreciative. This is a nice artwork representing the soldiers rising from their graves as young men.